Yes, but let's talk about it. Yes, I got a cat. Don't ask, his name is Remy with an I. Another video, okay? Hi friends, my name is, follow my social media. Y'all don't do it enough. Yes, before I start this video, I'm sponsoring myself, bitch. I have a Instagram, I have a Twitch, I stream on there, I'm a gamer. I have a Patreon, you can support me there. It's basically my Finsta. It's $1 minimum a month, pay whatever you want. It's basically gonna be me posting about my cat. Today, we're gonna be talking about Squid Game. Jesus Christ himself reawakened to watch this because y'all have not stopped talking about it. And I think a lot of people just wanna know, is it really worth the hype? No, we're not gonna eat my brushes. No. Is it overrated? Why is it so popular? We're gonna talk about it today while doing my makeup. So yes, today we're going to be making up my mind on Squid Game. Can y'all hear that? If you're new to this series, I put on my makeup while talking about something related to pop culture, the internet, or just media in general. And as always, everything I link is down below. Today's look is gonna be, it's a little complicated. Hopefully I can do it. I have not given a look in a while. I give looks, not a look. Remy, if you eat that brush, stop eating my brushes. I love you. But you had to stop eating my brushes, okay? You just ate my plant the other day, so no more. If you don't know what Squid Game is, what is wrong with you? Kidding, but technically everyone should know by now because the world is talking about it. It's a Netflix K-drama thriller that recently, as of this video, is the most watched show in general on Netflix. It used to be the most watched show that isn't in English, but now it's officially the #1, I think. Globally, mind you. The name is originally a kids game in Korea in which there's 2 teams, offense and defense. Defense can run with 2 feet, but offense can only run with 1. If offense cuts through the waist of the squid, they can use both feet. And in order to win, you need to touch the top of the squid with your foot. But if you get pushed outside the boundaries, you die. And the reason why I'm mentioning this is because the concept of this children's game is basically the entire plot of the show expanded out. The show is about a group of 456 players who have to compete in childhood games. It's basically a tournament, and the winner of all of it wins 45.6 billion won. Now, I'm not Korean. Yes, that may come as a surprise to some people, but check the last name and also stop assuming everyone who's Asian is Korean. Please. This is an example of how stupid y'all look when you generalize us. It's roughly $38 million, and Google Trends has already shown the impact of the show because of how much people are searching up the conversion rates. Each player represents 1 billion won, so when someone dies in the show, it's added to a golden piggy bank. Yes, it's a literal piggy bank. So the biggest question I want to answer today is, why is it popular? And there's no concrete answer. Before going into this show, I already had my superstitions on it. I just thought, are people fetishizing us again? At first I saw this through Twitter because on the premiere date, it was trending on Twitter with over 1 million tweets already, so I said, the K-pop community is going ham on something. The only tweets I saw were fan cams of Simba, which is easily the most popular character because she is conventionally the most attractive, even though in the show, no one's supposed to be attractive because they're all fighting for their life. So from first glance, I thought, probably Asian fetishization, which I'm not going to rule that out. Obviously, in anything related to us, there's going to be a level of that, specifically Koreans in this case. But personally, I don't think that's the primary reason for its success. However, some of y'all still need to assess why you're so interested in Korean culture and want to be Korean. Right? So while I don't think it's the primary reason, we can't deny the chokehold that the Korean entertainment industry currently has on the world. I'm not saying that's a bad thing. It's just, it's getting stronger with the popularization of K-pop. Korean music in general has led to K-drama. We're now seeing people talk about webtoons, also known as manhwa, which is the same way you say it in Chinese. Top that off with the global success of Parasite and the awards it won. Squid Game was kind of set up to be successful. That doesn't mean Squid Game wouldn't have been popular without the other influences, but it does help in a way. And there's also other K-dramas that helped pave the way, you could say, like Train to Busan and Kingdom. None of this is a bad thing. I am always going to be happy to see Asians being represented globally and in media in general, but at the same time, it does make me feel a little bit uneasy when someone thinks that those medias represent the entire culture. We've seen this before with Japan and anime, China and Chinese fashion TikToks, which, mind you, were happening during the peak of Asian hate crimes. Make it make sense. Do you like us or hate us? And right now we're seeing it with Korea and its entertainment industry. If we only indulge in the popular media of these cultures, or the ones that the US decides to show, we start to have warped mindsets of what the culture is actually like. Sorry to burst your bubble, not every Korean person looks like a K-pop idol, and the reason why I'm only talking about these 3 countries in general is because no other ones exist. At least according to the US. Forget the other 100 Asian countries that are out there. Let's focus on the top 3 that make the most money. Netflix is aware of how lucrative the Korean entertainment industry currently is, so having it on its platform only makes it easier for it to hit #1 because of how many people signed up for Netflix and other streaming platforms during COVID, which is still happening, by the way, so that's obviously a factor. Oh, you forgot? Wow. Yeah, it's happening. We should also give credit to the US though for reaching new records, because COVID is now the deadliest American pandemic. So, claps for us. Squid Game's #1, US is also #1 somewhere. But in my opinion, the main reason it's so successful is it's just good. And before you go hating, saying, ugh, it's been done before with Hunger Games and other horror. This isn't the newest one. This isn't innovative. Shh. I get that when something becomes so popular, people start to call it overrated, but like, just admit it's good. It has great cinematic scenes. The score is absolutely phenomenal. And this is biased because it uses classical music a lot, but also it's the same person who did Parasite. They're the same music producer. The actors are great. There's no sign of Riverdale acting in here. The plot is natural. It has twists that aren't out the wazoo, so just admit it. There's good parts of this show, even if you don't like thriller in general. Finally, I just think thriller, dystopia, commentary on capitalism just appeals to a majority of people. We've seen it before with YA novels, Hunger Games, Divergent. People always want to escape reality, and this show does it because this is not gonna happen. We're not gonna see a tournament like this anytime soon, right? And I've now learned that there is actually a science behind living vicariously through someone. We feel anxious when we see them go through these trials. Why do you think people tense up and get so passionate over football? They're feeling similar emotions that those players are going through. Maybe we're a little messed up by wanting to feel this way, but that's the whole point of horror movies, right? And I wouldn't call this horror, it's more thriller just because there's no jump scares. It's not meant to scare you. It just shows gruesome scenes. Like, they are not scared of showing death. And I appreciate that. And I also think that plays a part in why it's so successful, because we're just not used to seeing people show someone getting shot right in the face, someone being stabbed. I'm not gonna show it on here, obviously, because we know what's gonna happen with YouTube, but that just proves my point. We're not used to seeing it. So when it's happening in every scene, every 5 minutes, you kind of get used to it, but you're also wanting more, even if you hate looking at it. It's like a really weird addiction. Going back to capitalism, I think all these books that we read about teen dystopia, like Legend, yes, I'm a YA reader, every single one of these works shows the relationships between the rich and the poor. So we can relate to it because it's a reality. A lot of people are victims of capitalism, and Squid Game is not afraid to show the different aspects of that. So now that we're done with the context, let's get into the meat. The tofu, if you're vegan. I hate it when characters are so minor that even James Charizard doesn't care. Let me stop. That's like the 3rd time I've called him out in a video. But it pisses me off when I see characters that serve no purpose, it's unnecessary for them to be in there, or they're so forgetful that I don't even remember their name. Squid Game does the exact opposite, for the most part. Obviously, there's always gonna be minor characters here and there. Every single character is there for a different reason. Either they're in debt because they're a victim of stocks, business people taking advantage of them, being greedy, gambling too much. All of the reasons why someone could be in debt is basically put into each character. Even people who should be rich still end up there because greed is greed and we all have it. And I think that's a good change of scenery for people who aren't Korean and indulge in Korean culture, because I think we usually see success stories and only people at their very best. It's sort of like a reality check, like, hey, it's not perfect. No country's perfect. And I watched some interviews on how people living in Korea think about the show. Even to them, they said it's a surprise because that's not often talked about. But because I don't live in Korea and I'm not Korean, I would like to know from y'all who are Korean and live there, how does this show portray capitalism? And is it realistic? Is it a nice change of scenery? Because every society has negative aspects, whether it's government, discrimination, or in this case, capitalism getting the best of people. Before we talk about the characters, I just want to preface this by saying I am not Korean. I can't pronounce things the best. I'm gonna write out their name. I'm gonna try to pronounce it the best I can, obviously with an American accent. So be nice, please, in the comments. Also, spoiler alert, I'm going to talk about everything in the show. So if you have not watched it or you don't want to be spoiled, come back when you finish the show. I would like to formally apologize to the Korean community for butchering this pronunciation. Looking back, in Korean, it's pronounced more like JHEEUN when I was just watching it back. And then in the English dub, it's JHEEUN. So either way, I'm wrong. Just be nice to me, please. JHEEUN is our main character. He's the protagonist. He's a divorced gambler who needs the money in order to gain back custody of his daughter because she's about to move to the US. Also, his mom has diabetes but doesn't have the insurance to pay for it because he took away the insurance in order to pay for the rent, which they can't even pay for. But he joins the game because he has nothing left to lose. Every day he's either gambling his money away with his mother's money, mind you, because he steals her credit card. He's running away from people he owes, and he even gets to the point where if he doesn't get the money in time, he'll lose his kidney. So basically, he either joins the game, dies, or dies because he can't get the money in real life. Come here. Come here. Oh. Hi. Hi. Yes. Songwoo is basically his polar opposite. He's also friends with JHEEUN, so they meet up in the game and they team up early on. He went to the Harvard of Korea. I think it was SNU, so it's a prestigious university. He's a businessman. His mother always brags about him, saying, oh, he's so good. He's going to America to study. But he also gets caught stealing money from his clients, so now he's on the run. So that's why he ends up in the game too, because he's also in debt. He had everything going for him, yet he still ended up in the game because basically anyone can be an asshole. And I want you to remember this. It was because of his fraudulent behavior that he ends up in the game, because that foreshadows his behavior and character development, which we will get to because I really like when people do that. Abdul Ali is an immigrant Pakistani worker who is basically the only non-Korean person in the show. In this show, he's the only minority because, you know, Koreans are the majority in Korea. So it's not only a rare presence for the show itself, but a rare presence for the Korean film industry in general because, to my knowledge, that's not a big representation that we see. Whether or not he is the best representation is up for debate because I've heard his English dub is a little stereotypical and it doesn't make sense on why he has an Indian accent when he can speak Korean perfectly fine. But that's another thing. The English dub is just bad. And if anyone watches it, please don't. Unless you can't watch subs, like if you are physically incapable of doing it, yes, go ahead and watch the dub. But just know, a lot of it is already lost in translation, converting from Korean to English. A lot of meaning is lost, so we don't even get the full experience. Oh Il-nam, the oldest in the group, he's also number 1 out of the 456, which is like, why? Well, we'll get to it. He suffers from dementia, and basically he's there because he's got nothing else to do. He's gonna die soon, he says, you know, I just want to have fun. Remember that. He ends up being the biggest character twist. Oh my god, this eyeshadow. Sae-byeok, which is honestly probably fan favorite of the show. She used to live in North Korea but managed to escape with her younger brother, but her mother is still in North Korea, so she needs to get her out. However, that costs a lot of money. Also, she got fucked over by some business dude. This is also her first acting job because she used to be a model. And once again, this is proof at how good these actors are. No Riverdale here. I also want to know, what is it with people who can just act all of a sudden? Like, we had it with Tahani in The Good Place too. But I'm also curious because people brought her up in the Korean interview. Apparently, people who do escape North Korea are compensated fairly in South Korea because there's a lot of programs to help them be able to integrate into society, whatever, etc. So I guess my question is it more common to be in Sae-byeok's situation or to have opportunities to integrate into South Korea? Obviously, not everything is fair, so I'm sure there are people who are in Sae-byeok's situation, but I'm just curious. These are the main characters I want to talk about. Obviously, there's a lot of other people, but we just don't have the time today. So in short, these characters just show the unfortunate reality that we face. Even though we can't relate to the setting, we can still relate to the character situations. Student loan debt, having to provide for our parents or siblings, feeling guilt when we can't. I doubt most of us are VIPs, which are the people who fund Squid Game, by the way. Also, I appreciate shows when they make it more immersive for us. I cannot stand it when people are deserted on an island and they still have a full face of makeup on. That does not happen. People don't wake up with a full face of makeup. Look at my rhymes. I think that trope is dominant in Hollywood, but at least for this show, they look like they're suffering because they are. I don't even care if it's makeup. Give her eye bags because she's probably sleep deprived. Show that they're sweating. They can't look perfect. Even though outside the show, they do look attractive. Like, that's all subjective, obviously, but they're conventionally attractive out of the show. And the comments are filled with people saying this is the most attractive cast, which, once again, is it fetishization? That's another topic for another day. Now that that's done, let's talk about plot. This might cause some hate, and I don't care. The plot itself isn't the most unique thing. Shh, don't you dare comment yet. I never said that was a bad thing. Nothing, in my opinion, can be completely unique anymore because it's all been done. But I think because we see similarities in Hunger Games in terms of like, oh, sending people to their death and only one comes out. That familiarity lets us understand it easier, and also, this is supposed to be set in modern day Korea and treated as realistic, so we're not supposed to be creating a fantasy world. This circle looks so bad. So some other similarities I saw were Money Heist in terms of the jumpsuits, Saw with the plot itself. The closest resemblance I saw online was As the Gods Will, which is a Japanese film, and it uses childhood games, it's a death tournament, and they also have a death doll, except the film is a Daruma doll, and the Squid Game one, I don't know what doll it is. And obviously I didn't talk while doing this part because this was difficult. Here are some of the similarities if you're curious, but once again, when I'm watching each show, I don't see like, oh, they're copying each other. I'm not gonna pull a Gabby Hanna and be like, these 3 scenes out of the 9 episodes are similar to this film, so therefore y'all are the same and you're copying. No, don't do that. Nothing is completely unique. Now we're going to do the circle, triangle, square. Just connect it, connect it. Oh my god. Oh my god. Yo, why is the triangle always the easiest? Okay, this isn't the best, but I'm not gonna prove it anymore, so that's what you're gonna get. In my opinion, the main driving force of the plot is the character development and the relationships we see. If we look at the plot itself, not much happens, right? Like, JHEEUN needs money. Oh, he gets a letter. Oh, we're gonna play the game. There's someone else who is in the game who wants to uncover the secrets. The game ends. That's basically all that happens. With a bunch of stuff in between, obviously. So that's why it doesn't feel like 9 episodes. It feels longer, even though some can literally... I think episode 8 was 30 minutes. There's always something going on. We're never at ease while watching the show because it's not supposed to be comfortable. So because the game strips away all their backgrounds, because everyone is basically equals now, we're all in tracksuits, and also I'm noticing that this is Japanese, and I'm sorry, this is the only green shirt I have. I'm trying, okay? This is me trying, Taylor Swift. Why'd I do this before doing blush? Oh my god, oh my god. What was I saying? Oh, we get to see their personality start to come out because everything is stripped down. Saibok's trust issues get challenged. JHEEUN's inability to make decisions and be on the offense for once also gets challenged. We see Sungwoo's true colors come out. And going back to Saibok, she actually makes a friend for once named JHEEUN, who, spoiler alert, dies within 2 episodes of her arc. Yeah, I cried 3 times rewatching it. If you didn't get a little bit emotional during that, I question your humanity. Would you? You would win Squid Game, wouldn't you? Other side characters I haven't mentioned. Deoksu, I'm so sorry for the pronunciation. His ego gets questioned through another character, my favorite, Han Minyo. Sungwoo starts off as a friend to JHEEUN and makes allies, but eventually betrays all of them in order to get the best for himself, because you kind of have to do that in Squid Game. And while we know that, we still see him as the main antagonist. We forget about the actual antagonist, the front man, who's the cause for all of this. No, we care about you, Sungwoo. You betrayed your friend, Ali. But what's important is that their true colors don't come out instantly. It's gradual, and we can see it develop. So for Sungwoo's greed, at first we see he's helping JHEEUN in the first game, which is red light, green light. If the doll turns around, you get shot and you die. And JHEEUN is so surprised by this that he just collapses because he's not good at decision making and he gets overwhelmed easily. However, Sungwoo tells him, if you don't step your pussy up, you're gonna die. He didn't have to do that. He could have let him die easily and that would have been $1 billion added to the piggy bank. But no, he's still a human, and they're all new to the game still. By the second game, we already see a strategy. So the game involves cutting out pieces in these sugar honeycombs. It's called dalgona in Korea. It's not called candy, I'm pretty sure, but people keep calling it candy on TikTok. Let me know if that's true or not. I don't keep up with that stupid app. And the 4 shapes were a triangle, a circle, an umbrella, and a star. The hardest one is the umbrella, because you have to cut it out with a toothpick, or JHEEUN figures out you can use sweat or your spit. But instead of helping his group, Sangwoo says, oh, we're not sure what the game is, so maybe we should split up so we don't put all our eggs in one basket, which is an analogy to stocks. What is Sangwoo in? Business. So it kind of makes sense for his character to say that too. JHEEUN asks him, should I take the umbrella? And Sangwoo's like, are you sure about that? And he lets him. The third game, they don't know the game going into it, by the way, so they have to form a group of 10 and they don't know why. Sangwoo says, I think we should get all men, not old, not women, because we need to be the strongest. So he basically leaves behind Ilnam and Saebyuk and JHEEUN. However, they do end up on his team eventually, and you can see that he's clearly upset by how weak their team is. But ironically, the reason they lived is because of Ilnam. He knew how to play Taco Warrior because he did it a lot as a kid. By the fourth game, we see the loss of Sangwoo's humanity because he has to betray Ali in order to win. Everyone is put into pairs and only one can live. So Sangwoo tricks Ali in order to get ahead. Fifth game, he just straight up pushes someone off. Like, come on, man. The final game is between JHEEUN and Sangwoo. What do we expect? You know, they are rivals from the beginning, they were polar opposites, it only made sense for them to be put together. And going back to the offense-defense, JHEEUN is always on the defense. He's never initiated something for himself during this game, in his life in general. In this case, he is finally on the offense because, spoiler alert, Sangwoo kills Saebyuk, and we were all upset by that. But, you know, you have to do what you gotta do to get ahead. Each game is a different day, so there were times where all the guards leave and anyone can kill each other basically. So that's when Sangwoo took his opportunity. And this is now where we're gonna get into my favorite topic, juxtaposition / irony. If there's anything you want to do to turn me on in a show, calm down, it's having good juxtaposition and irony. Word of the day is juxtaposition. I feel like the moment we learn that word, we just use it in our essays. They juxtapose this and this. The plot is juxtaposed by blank. It is ironic when they do blank. Sometimes I hate it when they do it in shows because it's like, oh, these are stereotypical tropes, but they still do it right in this show. One of the first examples is their use of classical music. They typically play it when the most dramatic thing is happening. Like in the first game, the timer's running out. They all have to run for their lives. What are we playing in the background? Calm, classical music, just like this video. They also play Fly Me to the Moon. It was a cover. What is it about these covers doing better than the original? This might be controversial, but like we saw it with Neon Genesis Evangelion. Now we're seeing it with this. These covers, man. And while I do think playing classical music over the most dramatic parts of a show is overdone anywhere, it works in this case because the music actually is integrated in the show. They play it when they wake up, they play it after the game, they play it before the game. So I feel like they're trying to immerse us a little bit more because that's what they would hear during the game. It's like, oh, I'm trying to survive for my life, and they're playing classical music. To use our word of the day in a sentence, they juxtapose pastel colors in children's games with death and gore. Obviously, we don't assume the two should be next to each other, but the way they do it feels a little bit Black Mirror-ish. That's also overdone too, I will give them that. It wasn't the biggest thing I saw. It was like, wow, I love the way they juxtapose that. No, there's better examples. So I'm just gonna list a bunch that are both ironic or juxtaposed. I'm not gonna differentiate the two. They're all intertwined together. In the past, Ali lost his fingers to his boss, but when he comes back to see him, he ends up making his boss lose those fingers too. JHEEUN, someone who always felt in last place in life, ends up being the last number in the game, 456. My favorite episode of the show, episode 6. Y'all probably be like, what is wrong with you, Frederic? Why? Those who don't know, oh my god, my bronzer. Episode 6 is the one where all our main characters die because it's the pairing episode. However, in that episode, it's the first time we see them in flattering light. Previously, we always see it in this greenish blue hue, and it's very unsettling, to say the least. That lighting is not flattering on anyone because it makes us feel sickly, it looks sickly, gloomy, dark tones, basically, which is the show. And that's why it's even weirder when we see all our favorite characters dying in golden light. They almost look beautiful while dying. And I think there's a metaphor in there. And I want to talk about JHEEUN in this because we only see her in 2 episodes, yet she has such a significant impact. Do you hear me? Make a character. Give me significance. Riverdale. I'm gonna talk about Saebyuk's relationship with JHEEUN towards the end because people got some opinions on that. But the point is, this is so important for Saebyuk because it's the first time she actually opens up to someone, tells her about her past, and feels like she has a friend in this game. And then they kill her off. And also, we see Saebyuk cry for once. The only other time we see golden light is at the end after JHEEUN's haircut, and it's when he accepts his reality and starts to use his money. So, finding peace, I'd say. Actually, maybe that's why there's golden light in episode 6, because JHEEUN finds peace with herself. She said, I can't envision what I'm gonna do with this money afterwards. You have something you want to do, so I want you to have that. And maybe that's her finding peace, which is why she's in a golden light. That also happened with Il-nam, I think, because he remembers his family for once after having dementia. Let me know why you think there's golden light in that episode. I personally think the main reason is because, oh, we want you to feel weird while seeing your favorite characters die. This is why y'all need to hide your faves. Also at the end, JHEEUN, who is someone who always had to be helped, ends up having to help everyone. Saebyuk told him, save my brother. Sangwoo told him, save my mother, help them. He's not prepared for that. All the pressure is on him now. Life is not any better even after the game. The final thing I wanted to talk about for lighting is towards the end. So spoiler alert, Il-nam was the leader behind the Squid Game. I think he was a VIP, but either way he sponsored it and he gave the money to do the game. And at the end he meets up with JHEEUN, and on his deathbed we see that he's in the light and JHEEUN is in darkness. What does that say? Is Il-nam at peace? Probably, because, well, he's about to die. And also, the whole time, he wanted to be in the game because he just wanted fun. He was tired of seeing it from the outside. And I think because he was able to be in the game, it made him feel like a kid, because that's the whole point, right? To have fun with those childhood games. That's why the VIPs watch the games. It's entertaining to them. So for Il-nam, I think because he's the oldest out of all the VIPs, he just wanted to feel youthful again, which is why he went in there. And it also explains why he would find peace and JHEEUN hasn't, because he's still dealing with the fact that he won the game and didn't want to go through any of this. Now on to my second favorite part of the show, foreshadowing. I'm just gonna do my own definition. It's giving hints to something that will happen later on in the show. The biggest one is that the games are always shown. Everyone is like, we don't know the games going into it. It's always a secret, even for us. However, they're shown the whole time in the bunker. So where they go to sleep, it's always on the walls. But we don't see that at first because it's hidden behind the beds. And it's only when they start fighting, they start making their own bunkers because we're starting to kill each other at night, that we see more signs of it. And even towards the end, because there's just less beds now because everyone's dead. Deoksu. Okay, the thug jumped off a bridge and was eliminated from the game when he died in the glass bridge game. This is a returning thing that happens. Foreshadowing people's deaths, it's very common. Before Ali went back into the game, because there was a period where they stopped the game, he stole money from his boss, so he's technically a thief. And how does he die? Because Sangwoo stole the marbles from him. Saebyuk, which is shown that she's very good at a knife, almost kills a man with a knife. And how does she die? By a knife. Sangwoo, trigger warning by the way, we're going to be talking about death by yourself. When they first stopped the games, Sangwoo went back to his old place and he almost unalived himself in a suit while drenched. How does he die in the end? By unaliving himself in a suit while drenched. JHEEUN obviously is the winner, never eliminated, but when he said he would go into the games, he swore on his mother's life. And when he returned home, his mother died. That's messed up, man. JHEEUN also gave his daughter a miniature coffin box in the beginning as her present for her birthday. I didn't even remember this, I had to look this up. There was a gun that was a lighter, so that's just an allusion to when someone dies, usually by gun, they're put into the coffin box and set on fire in order to get rid of their corpses. Make a plot! You hear me? Yes, I've been watching AJ more. In game 2, someone said, why is the playground so big? Why are the toys so big? And I think that's just an analogy to how they feel small in the world because, you know, they're at their worst, they're in debt, and they feel like nothing compared to other people. Also, it's to make them feel small because the VIPs are watching over them and they're almost treated like children. And maybe it's because they just want them to feel like children, literally, because children are typically smaller, so we're looking at the world bigger. And that's also why they showed children's food in children's games, because the food they got was pretty bland. In the first episode, JHEEUN bets on horses because that's how he gambles. It was a horse race. And in the end, they even admitted, they said, we treat you like the horses. In this case, JHEEUN becomes the horse and the VIPs become him because they're betting on their lives. JHEEUN also wins 4.56 million won in the gambling game. And in the end, he wins 45.6 billion. I don't know what it is with the 456. It's always his number, and I don't know the significance behind it because I don't know what 456 means in Korea. Like, is there a secret meaning behind it? All I know is that the number 4 is hated in Asia in general. But if you do have a theory on what the meaning is behind that number, I'd love to know your thoughts. Hey, just editing. Hello, good morning. I totally forgot to talk about the biggest foreshadowing, which was Il-nam. Yes, we're gonna talk about old man. They hint at him being part of Squid Game early on, so in his file, when the Korean person, I forgot his name, the officer is trying to search through everyone, number 1 isn't listed. It starts off as number 2. In the first game, he is smiling, jumping across, doing red light, green light. He is laughing at the end. Only one doing it, by the way. At first we pass it off because it's like, oh, he finds the joy in little things because he's, you know, an old man who's gonna die soon in dementia. But then you later find out, oh, it's because he wants to feel joy. That's why he's in the game. The doll also doesn't scan him. It scans around him, the other people, and he doesn't even have a green outline. During the fight at night, he is the one who ends it and says, I'm scared. Only after he says that do the Squid Game guards come in and stop the fight. Because at that point he was actually scared for his life and only they would listen to him. When he dies, they don't show his death. Everyone else they show their death, but him, it's covered by a wall. That's all. Back to the video. Finally, with every show, we talk about symbolism. And what is the biggest one? This. And before we talk about it, I just want y'all to appreciate what I did for this video. Look, I did my nails just for this. Appreciate it. Give the video a like. Subscribe, maybe. I don't know. Do something. So this has been confirmed by the director. I've always said I don't want to put in like theories that fans make because we never know if it's intentional or not. We love to scrutinize, but you know, not in this case. The logo always mentions the circle, the triangle, and the square. It's also prevalent throughout the show because it's what the people in jumpsuits are wearing. It all relates back to the Korean alphabet. So the circle is the letter O, the triangle is part of the letter J, and the square is M. When you put it together, it reads OJM, which is a shorter way of saying Squid Game in Korea, because in Korean it reads Ojingo-gam. I'm just gonna say it's that. Maybe I'm right. In terms of the colors they use, green is prevalent for the tracksuits, also in the hue that they use throughout the show, and pink is what the jumpsuits are. I don't care what y'all say, it's pink, not red. I had this argument with Joey because he's colorblind, so I'm not gonna do it again with y'all. Yes, I'm bringing out Photoshop just so we stop having this argument. Alright, you see this? Do we see this? This is unedited. I just got these pictures from the internet. This is pink. This is also pink. Do we see how it's more magenta and not the same? Okay. But another reason I think it's pink is because in cinema and film, it's often symbolized for innocence, youth, playfulness, happiness. Something synonymous with childhood games and our childhood, no? Unless you had a really bad childhood. If so, I'm sorry. But they relate back to the games and how the VIPs treat this tournament because it makes them feel happy and youthful and they feel innocent doing it. Green, I feel like, was the second color they chose. They wanted pink first because the greenish blue is the complementary color, and putting complementary colors beside each other is the most contrasting, and we want them to be the most opposite in this case. Red and green, orange and blue, you know, all these different ones. So when you put them together, we have two differing sides. The gamers, the players, sorry, and then the jumpsuit people. Also, because they tell you that each player represents 1 billion won, I think it's basically saying that's human cash to us. So I think that's another reason they make them green, is to show that they are physical currency in the eyes of the VIPs. Their tracksuits also create tension because it's a laid-back outfit. It's the most comfortable outfit you can think of, but they're playing a vigorous, intense, stressful game. Oh, what's that? Juxtaposition. Finally, this is also confirmed by the director. In terms of JHEEUN's hair, he changes it to this bright red at the end, and it's like, why? It's so left field, right? It doesn't feel like what he would do. The director said, I imagine myself in his shoes. What would be the most unexpected thing for JHEEUN to do? Make his hair red to symbolize his anger towards the game and how he feels internally at that point, because he's not at peace yet. Finally, let's talk about the controversies, because with every show there's some. In the show, there's a card and you call the number in order to join the game. That number is a real number. Why would you do that? I know in Hollywood they have 555, or like there is some, you know, movie number that's fake. Who in their mind went, let's not confirm if this number is real. It's actually tied to a Korean woman and it's their business number. And I think since the show happened, she's been flooded with voicemails and calls, and basically it's ruining her business because she can't access her actual calls that people want. So they try to compensate her by saying, we'll pay you $900, this is US dollars by the way, in order to change your number. I think she deserves at least 9,000. No? Like a little more than that. Also, maybe we can do the best by showing support for her business. So if I do find it, I'm going to show it here and link it. Obviously, I don't know much because this is in Korea. But if anything, I will link the article so you can read more about it. I think she deserves more, you know? The show is #1. So like, let's pay her a little more, right? Secondly, Netflix is now being sued. And I don't know much about it, but basically, Squid Game used up so much data, it's causing trouble in the countries that they use for the data. Then there's the subtitling, which people have said is not accurate to the actual Korean language, and obviously things get mistranslated because nothing is the same. That's just the way languages work, so things can be misconstrued and the meaning can be lost. They change the meanings of some phrases so you don't even understand it at all. Queer baiting in the show. I'm using quotes because I got opinions on this. They show a relationship, and I mean that as platonically, between JHEEUN and Sae-byuk. There's some tension because Sae-byuk slams her against the wall because she's angry. She's like, why did you give up the game? And some people are saying, why didn't they make it canon? Why did they bait us with this? Why didn't they just make them kiss? I think this is another symptom of us saying everything has to be labeled, because I've talked about this before. I don't feel the need to label everything because that seems counterproductive to what the queer community is about. There is no rush to label yourself. The point is that it's a spectrum, yet everything is categorized, so it doesn't make sense. Also, does that mean nothing can be queer coded? What is the difference between queer coding and queer baiting at this point? Because does it have to be canon in order for it to feel queer to us? I don't know. Point is, I think y'all need to stop caring so much about wanting something to be canon. You don't know the director's intention. Maybe he didn't want them to be queer because A, it doesn't make sense for the plot. Is that better now to add in a random romantic relationship that doesn't make sense for either of their personalities? No. They knew each other for 2 days, goddammit. There's not gonna be a relationship in there, so like, cut that out. I think queer baiting made sense back then when networks were too scared to openly call something queer and say gay, just even in the sentence. So I think the definition needs to change because not everything should have a label on it. And also, is queer coding just a positive version of queer baiting? Because what is the difference technically? I also think this is a symptom of TikTok finding a word and then abusing it because y'all are just calling out everything as queer baiting now. Billie Eilish is queer baiting. Maybe I'm queer baiting, who knows? It also negates the fact that two females can just be friends. Did we forget about that?
I'm back, bitches.
I'm here because I found out some new things since filming it. Apparently, the director did want them to explore the relationship between two women because originally JHEEUN was casted as a boy or meant to be a boy and then he changed it. So yes, gay rights. But also, I want to emphasize the point that people are more upset that they just didn't kiss. And my point is, why do they have to? For you to feel like it's queer. That's all. It does not make sense for any of those characters to kiss in front of it. That is a Riverdale plot you're inserting in there. Also, I don't think we have to sexualize every queer relationship. We don't know what he meant by the relationship between two women. It could be platonic, it could be romantic, it could be curious, questioning, who cares? It's up for you to interpret. And finally, I think the people who are upset about it are just used to seeing a lot of queer representation compared to other people. And that's a good thing. Like, I'm glad people can grow up not searching for it, going through the depths to find some representation. However, keep in mind the context of where the show was originally made and the culture behind it is not common to see a queer relationship in Asia, in general in Asia. I'm not saying there isn't any queer representation in Korea. There's some, but not to the extent of the US. Also, it's not legal in most Asian countries. I think the only one that's legal is Taiwan. So this is still a big step for that show to even include them in general because they didn't have to. So to answer the title of this video, is Squid Game really worth the hype? Yes. Why is it popular? Because it's a combination of Korean media becoming more popular in recent years, K-drama having its way into Western culture, Netflix being the biggest streaming platform, COVID still being an option, so it's an amalgamation of everything. Did I like the show? Yes. Would I love a season 2? Of course, because that ending pissed me off. JHEEUN, just get on the plane. Help your daughter. You know who the real victim is? The daughter, okay? Not Gabby Hanna, the daughter. Let me know what y'all thought about Squid Game and what I should review next because there's a lot of shows coming out lately. But before I do that, I want to give a shout out to Remy. Hi, Remy. Oh, he's dreaming. Okay, I'll shut up. If you enjoy this video, give it a like, leave a comment down below about your thoughts on the show, maybe give an opinion on something I said if you disagree. I'd love to know. I'd love to have an open conversation. Subscribe for more videos every week. I try to post every Saturday, but if I don't, turn on my post notifications. Social medias are all right here. No, social medias are all right here. And y'all need to follow them. I'm gonna post this look later today, so go like it and say you're from the video. I might respond to your comment on Instagram. I'm also gonna post a TikTok tutorial of this look once I master how to draw straight lines. And as always, I love you all and everything is less than 3. And I know y'all are probably all wondering when and where I got this cat. It'll come. I'll make the video soon. Hello. Oh, it's my time to leave.